Um, well, my experience with the police has been like good and bad. Like, um, like one Sunday back in like October, it was like late at night, and I was outside like doing a media project, like taking pictures and stuff. And I guess someone in like the area was going through people's backyards and stuff, and then like they were trying to rob stuff. And then the cops came to me because like I was outside late at night and like I was by myself. So then they came and started asking me questions like, was I drunk? Did I go to the person's backyard? Was I involved in any way? And I just told them no. And like now I think it's like good they're looking out for the bad guys and the bad people, but like they should also like know that like not everyone they see outside like alone at that time of the night, like say 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, is really like doing anything wrong. Maybe they're just trying to get home or they're doing something like important for their lives. There wasn't any court case or anything like that, like after what had happened, like the fight and like the assault and stuff that happened, like in like the area and like to me, and I was involved. They didn't like really contact my family after like everything, like all the information. So I think that was kind of bad in a way because I think like we as the family should know like what's going on, especially with the person who got attacked. Like say if it was me or someone else, and they're my family, I'd want to know. But like they don't call afterward after you give all the information, so you don't really know what's going on in the investigation and like stuff like that. What would make me feel good filing a complaint against the police is let's say like they're harassing someone like that's from like a different race than like the cop, or like someone in general, harassment and stuff like that, and police brutality against anyone in the society. I think like the cop should like get justice. Like I think like he should like not really be like suspended. I think maybe like sometimes some cops need to be fired or checked for if they have like mental problems and stuff like that, especially if they've done stuff like that before. For me, in a perfect world, me filing a complaint would be like if the cops get back to you quickly, like let's say within a day or within the same time, like they went over it quickly and they did what they had to do to like start the investigation right away, and they got in contact with everybody who was involved, and they like sort of made everything just work out like perfectly, and like the process would be quick. Um, I think that like it's good that the police did that thing with like this stereotyping and like sort of like when they see black males outside, like sort of like going after them because of this way they look and dress and like stuff like that. I think it's good like they put up a law where you can't just like go and randomly do it to every black person or like every person you see. Yeah, I think that's a good thing they've done.
Well, my experiences with police, positive and negative. I'm gonna start with positive first. Not really much, but while I was in jail, you know, there is a couple COs that do go out their way to make your life better when you're in there. Like whether it was that we needed a shower, whether it was I needed like an extra pencil or paper to write something down on, you know, like I like COs that actually help corrects the way that you're moving instead of treating you like a criminal when you're most likely you're not even convicted yet. You know, some people go to jail before they even go to trial, and they all treat us the same. So yeah, I like those COs that look out for you, that are actually trying to make you better. Negative, I just don't like racism, racial profiling, unnecessary violence. Yeah, and police that don't really follow the rules like that. Like you're a police officer, you should follow, you should teach by example, you know. And some of them don't do that. Well, a negative experience I had with police when I was getting arrested. They took me into a undercover vehicle, and they actually were threatening me to tell on my co-accused, and if I didn't, they would beat me up. And yeah, that's the most, you know, that's the worst experience I had. The way it made me feel, it made me very angry, annoyed, very negative. I felt very negative about it. Well, it made me more comfortable filing a complaint. I haven't done it before, but I'm just gonna say stuff that I would expect that would make it more comfortable. Having the decision to make it anonymous, because you know, if the police officer has your information, then they could track you down and harass you, you know, and that's already a problem, and I don't want to make it worse, especially if I'm complaining. And I would feel that if they actually listened to the complaint and did something about it, that would make me feel more comfortable going to the government to complain about them, because then I would feel like they're actually gonna do something about it after I do complain, other than having a government system that doesn't listen to the people, and then I don't feel safe in my city because of police and because change is not being made. What suggestions I have for officers dealing with youth? Be as calm as possible. Don't harass us. And some youth, they're not doing this just because they're doing this. Some people have lives that they have to live, or certain types of ways that they have to live. So don't be so hard on all the youth, you know, because we're still youth, we're still growing.
Now, I'm average, pretty general citizen, with the exception that I'm noticeably invisible. African Canadian. I'm a black man. Now, I'm not trying to say that this had any bearing on the situation, but my encounters with the police have never been that of security and positivity. Now, I don't break the law in any way. I have a job. I was a student. All these things, you know, I'm a pretty average guy. But one night, me and my friend, another black man, we were walking. It was pretty late, maybe later than 12 a.m. We were walking on the street of downtown Toronto. We came across two officers crossing paths, and you know, the sidewalks are pretty wide in Toronto, so there's no need to really be in too close of quarters. And the police officer, and I kid you not, noticeably and very intentionally gave my friend, and it wasn't even me, it was my friend, like a shove, you know, like a shove, like, you know, and he turned around and proceeded to be like, what, do you have an issue? Like, what are you gonna do? Do you have a problem? And at that moment, the sad part is, all I saw was an average guy. You know, I never saw a police officer, someone who's supposed to protect your rights, somebody who's supposed to make you feel safe and police your community. I never saw that. I saw an average person. And I think that's the problem right now. You know, they're turning into average guys as opposed to holding firm to the rights and the reason they became officers in the first place, to help serve and protect the people. You know, I see a lot of average guys in police uniforms right now, and unfortunately the consequences follow. So I just feel like the job needs to be taken more serious as the matters get more serious. You know, things are getting pretty serious out here. So I think officers need to really just hone in on what it is to be a police officer.
Oh yeah, so my experience with the police, they've been both positive and negative. Because first off, for the good stuff, for the positive, they gave us a place to play basketball. It was at the only indoor spot in my neighborhood, my old neighborhood at the time. And, you know, I got to sit down and reason with them on certain things that I was doing or whatnot, and that certain things that let me get away with or whatnot, just reasoning with them. And then them just relating to me about their experiences before they even became police officers and whatnot, so there's a certain level of understanding whenever we see each other. On the negative end, though, I've been pulled over for stuff I didn't do before. Been like pulled over for a certain period of time, knowing that they try to accuse me of certain things due to the description of one bag, even though the bag wasn't the same color. Trying to accuse me of that and then holding me in the cold for about a couple hours. And they knew I had to travel a far, far distance for me to get home, but they didn't care about that. the interaction made me feel like, you know, I didn't have much freedom or anything, you know. They were just looking at me away like they were trying to just waste my time, lock me up, or trying to get me to do something or admit to something I didn't do. So what they could have done to make me feel more safe and secure is not trying to fit me under a certain description. Even though I already try to clarify with them there's certain things that don't even fit the description and whatnot, and they were still aware of the fact that they were still aware of the fact that they were so aware of the fact that I was so innocent to the situation, wasn't a witness or anything. So just trying to make me feel comfortable, they could have kept me warm, I guess, you know. But it is what it is. What would make the process of filing a complaint more comfortable and safer to make me feel that way would be something like the way they treat tips with officers on criminals. The same way you wouldn't have to let the criminals know your name of who filed the complaint or made the call of like your address, your number and whatnot. Having that same sort of process with police officers and going in certain specifics with certain people of law enforcement to make sure that they're aware of how the situation is going to get carried out throughout the entire process, and also what the officer is aware of the whole situation and how they're planning to carry it out to ensure that person's safety and the officer's safety. When people call Crime Stoppers or tips, they could just make the phone call about the whole entire situation and it's just left at that. They wouldn't have to be followed up, I believe, or from what I'm told, about the crime that was done or the mistreatment that was done at the time or whatever they saw. What suggestions I'd have for officers dealing with issues with local youth? To me, the suggestions would be like the officers and the one that I had positive interactions with because they got to know the community and participate in the community and do certain things. Just to try and relate and really try to build a connection with the community and youth in it. So that way they can feel this, they know that there's some sort of sincerity towards their job. And it's always you could always see a level of integrity with them. So that way they could always have a true connection with the youth and dealing with them.